You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
This podcast is presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, who have been telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com, and then definitely follow them on Instagram for all the information that you need, because I'm sure that's where you follow us as well, at oklahomahof. Let's get into today's episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode up in Cashin, Oklahoma today. It's the first time I've actually recorded a podcast in Cashin. My guest today, Blake Shipman, has a pretty sick spot out here, kind of like neat oasis. I think it's a place that you would come. I think it's a place that most people would like want to come out if you're a guy and just kind of be away from people, right? The signal's not great out here. You got a shop, you got a cool spot, the dogs are here, like, I mean, a couple acres, whatever it is. But thanks for coming on the podcast. Excited to hear the story. We recently met through a mutual friend, and I know a little bit about it, but I'm sure we're going to dive into some stuff, some fascinating things. You've traveled a lot, done some really cool video stuff with some big production. But yeah, thanks for coming on the podcast. And for people that don't know you, I guess give us a little bit of, where you grew up, who you are, and what you do.
Thanks for having me. I started out doing video production probably at the age of 11 or 12. And I say video production, I just kind of hijacked my dad's camera. And he had it around for like Christmas videos and stuff. And he would set it up in the family room when we'd be opening presents. But it's funny, like those are related because he would get me, motocross DVDs or VHS at the time as a gift. Every year they would come out around Christmas. That was just like their routine, whether it be like a moto video or quad riding or freestyle or something. And so they would get those for me. And, he's giving me this video for the first time, seeing it around Christmas. And then I'm like, well, he's got that camera. So, and then just hit it right there and started following like my best friend till this day, Alex. He rides pit bikes with me, but we both used to ride bikes, and he would ride skate parks. So I just take the camera with me and go film that. And I can remember like high 8 video of us just like, it's scribbling through the TV and everything. We were watching that, and I was just like, I've got to learn how to edit this. So I did. It took me forever. I mean, pretty much my whole adult life has been spent learning how to do this stuff. And so from that moment, I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do.
So you got into it kind of because Dad was into it then? Well,
my dad would only do it as I guess I could say my dad has always been kind of like a techie dude. He always had like, the mixers for the surround sound, and like, at the time in the mid 90s, he had that camera. It was probably worth a pretty penny back in the day. So he always had that stuff. And so I guess, it was always like readily available, but he didn't have any interest in, filming the stuff I wanted to. I didn't want to film Christmas. I wanted to film, like we'd always rode. So I was like, well, if those dudes can do it, let's see what we can do.
Yeah. So you grew up in Oklahoma, right?
Oh yeah. Born and raised.
Yeah.
I've been all around. So, I think that's why I've always wanted to stay here.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So where does when you grow up and you got friends who are in motocross or whatever and riding bikes and stuff like that, and then you see the video side of things, was Dad into motorsport as well?
Yes, he got me and my brother into riding. So at the first, the house I grew up in till I was about 5, I remember walking out to the garage. He was like, it's Christmas morning. He sent me and my brother out there, and there's a picture of me in my underwear. I'm like 4 or 5 years old, and he's got these, little Honda 3-wheeler and 4-wheelers. So he was a very heavy motivation and to get us into riding. Like we just took a weekend trip this last weekend. So he's in his 50s, my brother's in his 30s, I'm in my 30s, and we're still riding together.
Those Honda 3-wheels were like one of the unsafest vehicles.
They outlawed them.
They're terrible.
They outlawed them. They outlawed them from being manufactured, and now there's a few, third-party developers that are out there building them. But they're fun. I've got a 1985 that I've rebuilt. I rebuilt one for my dad. Like I said, if it doesn't have to do with working on them, riding them, I'm filming it.
Yeah.
So
those, for people that don't know, like the Honda 3-wheelers were, they're legendary within the community, but also like super, like
they're super hard to find,
super unsafe. Yeah.
It's like, if you can, I mean, there's people there. It's like an antique. It's like an antique, but the difference between my antiques and maybe other people's antiques is you can still use them, you know, if they're kept up. But I enjoy everything about it. I love to ride. I love watching it. I love filming it. I love editing it. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be, motorsports or anything, just something interesting.
Yeah. Something kind of fast and interesting.
Yeah, I shot my first short film that had nothing to do with action sports, like just this for Halloween. It was right here. We did a Michael Myers little skit thing, and I think most everyone was like, "Where's the joke?" But I was like really trying to make it scary and serious.
So growing up, you're in motorsport. You go into school. I guess you get to high school and then you go into high school thinking. Am I going to go to college for this? Or
I was in middle school. Okay. I was in middle school taking every opportunity I could for, it wouldn't be show and tell, but it would be some school project that I would inevitably put, my flair into it. And it'd have to be some presentation and I would show it. And I remember having friends now, they're like, man, I remember back in middle school, you would bring VHS tapes. So by high school, I'm not gloating. It's not anything really I'm proud of or bragging, but I was convinced I was not going to go to college before I got to high school. I was like, there's no way I'm going to waste all this time. I could be learning and getting my feet wet. Yeah. I mean, I was 17 traveling the country, working 40 hours a week. And then come Friday night, I would go down to, I'm not kidding you, Atlanta. I went down to Atlanta for a weekend trip, F-250 full of friends. Filmed for a Saturday, drove back Sunday. Yeah. There was no bid, no job, no nothing. I was just ready to get my feet wet. There was a big freestyle motocross event. And I just wanted to go do it. There was no one there to tell me no. And my parents trusted me to just take off and go do this stuff. And they knew this is where my head was at. You're not going to change my mind. So, things like that all up until this very day, I'll just hop in the truck and go. So
that's amazing to know and to be that certain from such a young age that this is what I'm going to do. Because you've got kids today, they're coming out of college, they have no idea what they want to do, they haven't had the chance to live life, right? And for me growing up, it was I'm going to play golf, and that eventually took me to college, and now I am here, where I am today. But knowing that from such a young age, I think Gary Keller's got a book, The One Thing, and just doubling down and knowing what your one thing is going to be and being as good as that as possible. Mm-hmm. You've done that since a super young age, and that's pretty special.
I am proud of it. I think on one hand you could say, well, how much other stuff could you get good at? And I've got a buddy who is good at a little bit of everything, and that's awesome. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's something I will ever be. I'm not going to be good at the drums and good at riding a bike and good at doing video. I'm just going to put all of it into one thing.
That's pretty sick. So the video stuff, when you're in high school and you got your time and you're spending everything on how do I edit, how do I get much better, equipment, tech stuff, cameras, when do you start working? When do you start trying to find, okay, if I have a career in this, where am I going to start? I guess, when was your first paid job?
So I remember one of my very first paid jobs was, I say it was for pay. It was supposed to be for pay. And some dude sent me, by this time I'd say I'd had about 3 or 4 years where I was putting stuff up on YouTube. And there was a site called Putfile. Mm-hmm. And it was before YouTube. And then when YouTube came out, it was very limited, not a lot of people on it. And this guy found me on there and must have seen me coming from a mile away. Just some kid fresh into it, sent me a box of 40, 50 tapes, spent 3 months editing it on a $5,000, promise he was going to pay me. Like I said, I was a kid. Yeah. Never came, did the movie, went out. And then that was my first,
welcome to the real world. Yeah.
So, my first time really making money at this, man, it was probably when I was trying to come up with an idea for a video. So like I said, I grew up watching these DVDs, and at about this time, it was 07, 08, 09, 10. And I don't say all those 4 years, I don't know where it was. It started in 07, it did 08, 09, and 10. And
when people were still buying DVDs.
Right, yeah. And I sold, I sold 3 titles through a distribution company that sold at Walmart. And I sold one title, sold over 40,000 units.
Really?
Yeah. Now, the kicker is I got paid, again, I was young, didn't have, and I don't believe it. I just don't know how you get representation for this. And there's just not, you just kind of go with how you feel or learning. And they paid me a salary to make it for, they gave me a tiny little bit of that. And then they made money off the 40,000 units, which great experience. And I was able to, live and do that.
Yeah.
And then I think my next big thing was just joining up with a tour, a live event production company, and they do motorsports and stuff like that, like Supercross and Monster Jam. And so did that for 10 years. And then thanks to COVID, now I'm doing back to doing my own thing.
So you have some life experience. You have a few wake up calls. You get taken advantage of as you're a kid a little bit within business, and promises people are going to pay you, they don't, and then you learn obviously that you get paid to make it, but not get paid on productions and stuff.
Reason that I pretty much always work by myself.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about anyone else getting screwed, or if I make it, then I'm the one, I don't stretch myself so thin that I need more. And if I do, I've got a couple of buddies that'll help me out. But yeah, for the most part, I don't take what I can't handle. And I've learned very early on that most things that are too good to be true probably are.
Yeah. So during all this time, you're obviously riding your own bikes and buying bikes or building bikes and enjoying that side of your passion as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who, when you're taking pictures or you're taking video, you don't get to enjoy that stuff. It's really annoying sometimes.
That's funny you bring that up, because the reason I got into it, I was like, I wanted to be a professional rider before I got into doing video, but that was way younger. And then you realize that there's some things aren't going to work out. And looking back now, I don't have I never had the discipline to train and stay in good shape. I've always been a big dude, and that's probably why I do video. So, but I remember thinking dude, if I got into filming, then I could just ride all the time. Yeah. And I never ride. I never ride when I'm filming. And it's funny when we go to trips and it's all about riding, I still ride, but I feel very, incomplete if I don't have footage of the weekend. You know what I mean? I've even though I may not watch it, but once a year, I love having that.
Some memories that you can look back on. Like you just mentioned when we were chatting before we started recording, you went down to Lake Murray with your dad previously, and he loves this, obviously loves his motocross and motorsport, and you can take a GoPro or take a camera with you and still kind of enjoy it. Yep.
Yeah, and the camera I have now is it's perfect. I've done the big production cameras and GoPros and all that stuff, and the little camera I have now, I just pull it out of a bag of the razor door, and just in 5 seconds it's ready to film. Professional 1080 gimbal and all. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's sick. So tell me about how the 10 years of the monster stuff comes up, because that is, what are you, 20 at that point?
So 2010 I started with that company. Do you want me to tell you the story about how I got hired?
Okay. How does that all happen? Because you go from being it's kind of 07 to 10, you're growing up, you're learning all this stuff. This is your career now. You're out of school.
I graduated high school in 07.
Yeah. So that's you're I'm going to do this. I'm going to make money.
Oh yeah.
And then someone from Monster comes to you and says, you want to do this? And you're like, hell yeah.
It was almost like that, except for I couldn't get them to answer the initial emails for me to get hey, you want to come do this?
So you spammed them for a long time.
No, I didn't spam them, man. I know the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and in some circumstances I might be the squeaky wheel, but for this one I was just, it was early enough, and I would think I was naive enough. Yeah. Luckily it didn't backfire on me, but I went to one of their events. I wouldn't suggest anyone do this, but I went to one of their events back, like I said, in 08, 09, and I took my camera, and by this time I had a Panasonic HMC 150. It's about this long. And I had a big jacket on, and being big, this probably helped me out. So I put the camera in there, and I was sneaking into this arena in Tulsa, BOK Center. And they were doing an arena cross. And it's pretty much just a miniature supercross. It's still a big production. There's still fire and lights, and they're like, bring them
But it's a circuit. Everyone's racing.
Yeah, it's a circuit. Everyone's racing after the show starts. So my buddy invites me. He races. I film the event, film the opening ceremonies, film everything. Keep in mind, I've got this thing in my pocket. I'm waiting, and I'm filming, and I'm waiting, and I'm filming. And in between those cutting, I managed to capture some shots, and I sent it to that tour director, and I was like, I want a job with you guys. And like,
super rogue.
By the time the tour, this was in, it was cold, so it had to have been October.
Yeah.
And by December of that year, they were like, hey, we like that video. And they said, we want to fly out to Chicago to come meet with us in our corporate offices. And I remember telling everyone, I was like, dude, I'll bet they're going to sue me. Like,
and I told the guy, in a room with a bunch of suits, and I'm going to get sued.
I told the guy, and I guess I joked with him. I remember, it's like, dude, I thought after it was all said and done, I was like, I really thought you guys were going to, like, you know, I was going to get a slap on the wrist or something. But how stupid of I was to fly all the way to Chicago if I thought that. So that happened, and made a good impression, stuck with that company, worked. And so this one company has Arena Cross, Supercross, Monster Jam, and a couple other things. And so whenever one runs out, I'll just ping pong to the other one. And finally, I got somewhere I enjoyed it, and it was with four-wheel sports. You know, I enjoy razors and quads and trucks. And then just this all happened. So yeah.
And then so that lasted for 10 years.
10 years.
So you're on the road literally for 10 years straight.
Not nonstop. I would stop. So you know, I would say about 70% of the year I would be in a hotel. I'm in a, you know, I missed my nephew's 8. I saw his first birthday. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's rough, isn't it? To be, but I mean, you're young, your life experience, you're learning so much, and the connections that you make through that, lifelong friends. You know, your shop out here is filled with memorabilia from stuff that you've managed to sneak out of arenas. Right?
Yeah, and I don't want to say. I mean, they were in the trash. You know, the shit was just sitting in the trash. So I'm not a thief, and I definitely was like, if they're gonna throw it away, might as well put it in the shop.
And it looks great on a man cave. You know, like just truck parts and everything.
Taped it all together, and
that's sick.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. So obviously when they sign you, you get that. You know, you go up to Chicago, you get that first. You know, we want a job offer.
Yeah.
And mum and dad, I'm sure, are thrilled and pumped. Like, you know, like this is what I've been working towards. A huge tour.
Probably didn't believe me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I probably was like, whatever I was saying at the time, they were probably like, I mean. Yeah. They finally came to one of the shows. Like, keep in mind, by this time, I'm doing intro videos for, you know, 12, 14 different drivers. 30, 40,000 people are stacked in the stadium at AT&T down in Dallas. And my dad and all my family comes in, and there's, I mean, I'm stuck in my room at this time doing whatever the hell they think I'm doing. Well, they come out, and I'm like, oh, I got to fly. Like, after doing what all week? Well, come to the show. I'll show you. Yeah. And they come, and they stand, and they hear the sound system come on, and my dad was like, I teared up watching it. You know, you don't have any clue really what it is I do, and you get the whole context and the impact. Like, this is why I avoid life, because I'm in here doing this, and I have to make, you know.
Every week I have to make that.
Yeah, and it's funny how, like, if I do something fun and, like, people know I'm expected to have something made, I'm like, well, you know, it's got to get made somehow, so leave me alone, or, you know, whatever, and I'll get it taken care of, and I won't really talk about it. It'll just be done, and then when it's time to be done, you'll notice because it's on the screen.
You'll see it. Yeah. So what was that first event, that first tour like?
Whenever I saw my videos, like, on screen, like, well, first, most any position, you're going to have someone who has an idea, and they bring someone in to do that idea. Yeah. In my experience, no one had any ideas, and I had to come up with stuff just off the top of my head. Okay. And so that mixed in with, I hope we did this right, you know, and it's time to watch it in front of all these people, and
thousands of fans.
Yeah, and I remember watching it, and I had a little glitch, like something happened with just one little frame of my video. It didn't render, and if anyone who knows how to edit, they know it comes up with this blue or red error screen. Yeah. So we're watching it, and I see that blue screen, and it was just a split second, but I was like, oh. You know, and the mic guy, the turns out he's just busting my balls, but the MC came and says, "It's not good. That's not good." I'm like, "What do you mean that's not good?" It's not good. And he just walks off, and I was like, he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen," after just telling me that's not good. Yeah. You know, he's got the mic away and everything, and so nothing happened. But yeah, it was cool, man. And like, only recently have I gotten to where I can look up and then not worry, and my palms don't get sweaty because because all my bosses, you know, everyone's up there, everyone's watching them. Yeah. I mean, I'll get text, we need to fix that shot. If we have a 2-show weekend, they'll watch it. We need to fix that shot for next show. So just, all right. It's like that. And there's nothing,
you can't do anything about it, right? When it's up on the screen, it's
the funny thing is they all approve it too. They're always like, yeah, looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good. And then watch it. We need to change that. I'm like, well, you saw it
because
17
one of them's
times.
watched it and they've probably gone, oh, it's fine. I
Right.
trust that other person.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a surreal feeling seeing that, and then just watching people enjoy it is really cool too. Having people, man, that video was rad, or that's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, because it doesn't say at the, I assume it won't say at the end,
No.
it doesn't say that you produced it.
No.
Your name's not up there, right? But that
No.
that reaction that you get from people, and know, like, hey, I did that.
And
like,
there are some super fans who like will go and find out who made what, and like the driver, they know the drivers. The drivers may say, Blake made this, or the drivers themselves will be like, man, I saw that. That was cool. Mostly it comes from the drivers.
Yeah.
We're hanging out, that we're getting dinner afterwards. I'm like, hey, you guys want to come check this out? I'm working on this, and it's not showtime.
Let me know what you
but
think, kind of
check
thing.
it out.
Yeah, and that's probably been great too. Is you've built great relationships with people who as a kid you might have been like, I want to be in that position, and now you're super close to
gotten
them,
to hang out.
You're best friends with these people.
I'm glad you brought that up. So this is why I love action sports so much. I have been able to like literally idolize, just daydream about being or meeting or working with people, and then gotten to meet, work, hang out, befriend them, all that stuff. I don't know anyone who's doing that with LeBron James.
Yeah.
You can't just walk up into a basketball court and see LeBron James, but I can go to the nearest motocross track and see a 3-time champ, no problem.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so easily accessible. It's just a good group. And so, meeting guys that I've just watched on videos, like I said, it is cool. And I really feel bad for people who don't get to do that. I walk around seeing people wearing jerseys of guys' names that don't give a about them or what they do, and it is kind of sad if you think about it. But
it is, it's like, and sometimes people like, never meet your heroes or whatever it is, but
I disagree.
When you meet those people, like for me, got to meet some golfers that like I've idolized growing up. Haven't met Tiger Woods yet, but one day that might happen. But I met people and I'm like, they're just normal people. Mm-hmm. And on the other side of things, I played golf with some professional athletes, like baseball players that I know nothing about baseball, but I played golf with a couple of guys who won a World Series. And I text my friends who are fans of their team, and they're like, oh, how were they? And they were like blown away. And I'm like, they're just playing golf. They're normal people.
Right.
And that's the thing, is when you get them away from like...
The part to get them to not be normal is when you're not normal.
Exactly.
And that's when you don't want to see them when they're not normal.
When you like fangirl out, I guess, and freak out, then they're turned off straight away. But if you come in soft, hey, I'm helping out, let's do some video, great to meet you, my name's Blake, whatever.
Right.
They're like, oh, you're a friend, right?
Yeah.
You don't
no
want anything
ulterior
from
motives.
me.
Yeah. And
but yeah, like it's cool, isn't it, to be at that experience with those people that you have, that they have hundreds of thousands of fans. They have hundreds of thousands of people that follow them on social media and idolize them. And you're like, I just get to hang out with these people.
Right.
They're normal friends of people.
I've always had this saying, like, and whether it be with dating or meeting a famous person, it completely applies. If you want to see what a fish does, don't pull it out of the water. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to see this person be as cool as you think they are on camera, don't be a weirdo. I've walked into rooms with supercross, motocross champions, knowing full well that they are badasses. Like, we get it. They're rad. But there's one guy in the crew who's just, I love you. And I'm like,
and it makes
quit
it
that,
weird.
man. Quit that. Because now they're going to clam up.
Yeah. It
We're
takes
not going to
kind
get
of like
what we
the
need on
purity
camera.
away from that meeting, right?
Oh, yeah. And it happens all the time.
Don't be the new guy. Don't be the new guy. Right.
I've had a group of friends out in Texas that X Games, their families taking me in, just very hospitable. Mm-hmm. And then you'll see someone come in who just can't quite just be cool. Like, just treat it like you're at a barbecue.
They can't relax.
No one can relax. It's weird. And they say weird comments. Like, if I'm like, hey, so-and-so, you want to go get some food? They're like, oh, it'd be sweet if you like took your gold and showed everyone. And I'm like, why would you say that? Now I don't want to go eat.
Yeah, you're right. It's serious cringe, isn't it? And it's you don't want to. The last thing you do is want to bring a friend, and the friend does that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like I'm whatever you do is you're representing me right now.
Direct reflection.
Direct reflection.
Yes.
And then you get like stuck with that.
Yep.
That stigma or whatever it is. But so awesome experience, obviously, doing that. The motocross stuff and going to this. I mean, X Games, like, that's massive.
It's insane. I went to X Games. The first year that my buddy won gold, and that was surreal. I mean, like, when you're not just a friend who like, so I've got filming buddies, I've got buddies who I film with, and I just have friends that I don't do anything with other than just hang out.
Yeah.
And this was, I mean, I've showed up to their house, didn't even film a thing, you're just hanging out. And it was cool to get to go see that. And since then, his brother's passed, but and you know, obviously keep in touch with the family. But it was a cool feeling to be able to see there. And I didn't know where, as a cameraman, I didn't know where the cameraman was, and I just pummeled my buddy. I was like hugging him, like, gold, dude, gold, and just it was really neat. And then seeing friends race on TV, you know, especially Oklahoma guys or Texas, it's really neat. So it's all, when bringing that up, it makes me laugh whenever I see like locals yell at a TV, you know, Oklahoma people yelling at Oklahoma football like they've got stock in the way they win, you know. It's just like, you don't even know those people. What is this?
Calling them by their first names.
Yeah. Get him, Roger.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if there's a football player named Roger, but
maybe. I don't know. I'm terrible at football as well. You know, X Games was so big, right? It kind of put everything it was in, you know, to do with X Games on the map, because it kind of brought in everybody that wasn't involved directly in motocross, right? Like people would just watch it, right? They would just be like, whoa, this is huge. It's in an arena. It's amazing.
Right.
You know, we want to go see this. And you go across all the sports. You go skateboarding and BMXing. And then they brought in, you know, rally. What is it? Autocross. Rallycross.
Yeah.
Where Colin McRae rolls his Subaru and then he's an instant hit in the States.
Right.
You know, and then his dirt PlayStation game like just sells out because he comes into the arena and rolls his Subaru. Like,
that's awesome.
You know, like those these iconic moments where, what for you, like following all this stuff, like has it changed much since, like was X Games for you as impactful on the inside, like on the inside of things for everybody as it was for like people watching?
Because it was my friend, I think so, yeah. But other people, no, not so much. I mean, I just don't care to watch it on TV otherwise, you know. I mean, really, I haven't watched X Games in a few years. It's just, and nothing against that. I just have my own stuff going on, you know. And I feel like when other people are out being successful with that stuff, I don't like sitting around. I'm like, I can't sit around. And when, you know, if there's a big event that I can't make somewhere, I'm like, I got to do something, because I feel like I'm just twiddling my thumbs. I don't mean that as like, hey, they're getting attention, I need attention. It's just
it's hard
how
work.
I measure myself. You know, I'm like, they're out there doing that. Like, I shouldn't be sitting here.
I've got to work harder. I want, you know, if I want to be there, I've got to, and that's something that I'm sure it's been instilled in you from dad, parents, family, people you've been around.
I'm the laziest of the family. I'm like the laziest. I'm the laziest Shipman, but in a group of family that works super hard, like I'll take it. You know, if I'm saying something, to be the laziest Shipman is saying something, because my brother, my dad, my mom, like everyone works extremely hard. So
that's really cool though, to know that and to have that backing, right? To know, like, have that example of, hey, dad's worked really hard to get where he's at. I know what I've got to do to get where I'm at, especially in something like videography where you are your own business, you know?
They tell me all the time, they're like, we wish we knew what it is that you do. We'd help you out any way we could. And I never am like, I wish you guys would support me more. I never have to I don't have to say that. Like, they get it. Like, they're cool with it. It's
nice though to know that, like, you don't have to rely on anybody, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I mean, it's kind of that entrepreneurial mindset where, and I don't know why I hate the word entrepreneur.
I hate that too. I don't like that.
I don't like, people refer to me like, you're an entrepreneur. I'm like, no. Anyway, but that mindset of working for yourself, like, whatever I make is for me. I'm not getting paid. I don't have a paycheck coming in. Like, I've done this. For some people, they're like, it's such an uncomfortable feeling. They're like, I need a 9 to 5. I need to know how much is coming in. And that's great. They're safe. My wife's like that. But for me, I'm like, I'll be fine whatever happens. If I've got to go work at McDonald's, I'll go, you know. But having that in the videography industry, being, you know, like an independent contractor, right? I mean, you're paid by the job, and that, if you're lucky, but then you've got to work hard to get those jobs,
for sure,
because there's always someone coming up, some kid now who's 16 years old who like you were, that's like killer with tech, and they got new technology,
wants it more than I do,
puts more hours in, and then boom, he puts up a YouTube video and someone's like, I want that guy.
I think about it all the time. I think about it all the time. Heath's coming in, I probably think about it a handful of times a month. I'm just like, what, you know, what's it, I can't imagine what it is to be 13, 14, 15 right now. And wanting to be like a YouTuber. Because that's all, I mean, I hear my nieces and cousins and all the young kids are like, I want to be a YouTuber. I'm like, well, what do you want to film? I don't know. Well, what? I don't know how to answer that, because I don't really believe I'm a YouTuber.
No.
I mean, it's I use it as just a place to put my ideas, like where I'm yelling at people on the porch that aren't there, or, stuff like that. Which that's the stuff that my parents will look at and be like, what were you thinking? And they might not ask, what were you thinking? They'll be like, they'll say it and they're like, saw that video today. I'm like, so you want to ask me what I was thinking,
Yeah.
But they're cool with it. I mean, as off the wall as it gets. It's just, but I mean, like I said, that's the kind of thing I'm like, whether it's an event over in California or some videos come out and I've seen someone do something really cool, it might inspire me to make something of my own that I've already been thinking of. Might not necessarily be because I'm doing it like a twist off them. I'm just like, they did that. All right, I need to do mine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So those back to those 10 years that you had with, going on tour with Monster and everything, any moments that like really outside of the X Games one, like is there any moments that really stand out that kind of rocked you a little bit maybe, or just?
Yeah. It was, I mean, the stuff that they're doing in trucks nowadays, I kind of like got in there when they were, when the backflip was like the only cool thing they were doing.
Yeah.
There's this dude named Ryan Anderson who's part of the Gravedigger family, and the stuff that he has started to do is just like, I mean, I was like pumped that I knew what trucks could do. I didn't know they could do that.
Is this the one that was it last year that was like wheeling and then did like a front flip or something in a monster truck?
So that was a different dude,
Which that's insane.
Along the lines of that, yeah, like trying crazy stuff that maybe ordinarily wouldn't have been attempted before. But yeah, and what's funny you say that is me and my buddy Nate, our clips went worldwide. Like no credit due to us, but our shots, that was our shot.
Yeah.
The wheelie to front flip.
Yeah.
Blake Shipman, Nate Williamson, that was our shot. Because it went on Colbert, went on Yahoo
everywhere.
News, went on CNN, went on all over the place. And, I bring that up to people and they're like, well, your name shouldn't go on it. I'm like, Steven Spielberg's is on E.T. Someone paid him to make that. And everyone knows Steven did it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why we shouldn't get credited. But yeah, that went all over.
That's a great point. That's like with social media now and media in general, like everyone I do it with This Is Oklahoma. I share stuff, right? But I give credit.
Right.
I have to give credit because it's not my stuff.
Yeah.
But the amount of I saw a meme. It was a meme yesterday saying, if your meme isn't great unless it's been stolen by somebody.
Right.
Which that's that happens in your industry, I'm sure, with people stealing clips and stuff. And,
I can go on YouTube right now and search, and I'll have my logo removed or pasted over.
Yeah.
Someone's taken my footage and redone their own thing. They say flattery is the best. Compliment, or I'm sorry, imitation is flattery. Mm-hmm. But I don't really see it like that.
Yeah, but it makes you mad.
Yeah, it's
that would
a pain.
make me mad.
It's a pain that I have to tell. Like, I'm sure they're kids, and for all I know, they're watching my stuff because they love my work. But then now I gotta go, hey man, like in a nice way.
Yeah.
Now if they don't respond, I'll get probably a little irritated. But I'm like, hey man, I did that if it's for a client that paid me for something, I for sure don't want that person out there redoing whatever they want with the footage. I'm like, hey, Maxis or someone I did this for them. They don't want that footage out somewhere else, and
So now, present day, because of obviously COVID and things aren't happening, no tours and people aren't going, or there are, but there's no fans, so there's no need to do that much video, I guess. What have you been able to kind of use the relationships that you've built during those 10 years to build for people like Maxis and the work that you're doing now? Like, what are you up to now, and what's kind of coming up, I guess, in the end for next year?
So the good and bad thing about COVID was everyone quit going to events that I needed to produce video for, but they all immediately moved to their phones, which is what I also produce video for. So I put a lot more effort into local businesses. There's a lot that people want to put on social media. Mm-hmm. And it's just about finding that, making that introduction, letting that person know, like, look, I've got your best interest in heart, and this is what I can do, this is what you have, and I can tell you are on your own trying to do this. Let me help you with that. And so that pretty much is where I'm at right now. COVID was a kick that I needed, because there might have been a few times in there where I'm just at my wit's end. My house burned down, I was out of town, and just after that, it seemed like I'm tired of traveling. You know, I've missed so much family functions. I've missed all these ride trips. I don't believe that flying is the only way I can make my money. And I'm very gracious that it happened. I did it for 10 years, and I've seen just about every state that there is to see, driven, flown, all of it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't bother me at all if the only thing I saw was South Oklahoma and North Oklahoma. And it just wouldn't.
You could sleep in your own bed every night.
Yeah. And, you know, some people, I see these videos where people put their bags on a treadmill and they want to simulate that airport commute. Like, you can have it. Take it all you want. I mean, like I said, I'm fortunate and I've benefited from seeing all this, and I've made a bunch of friends. But, you know, I've got this now after the fire, and I'm ready to put my talents to use here in Oklahoma.
That fire must have been a mighty pain.
It was a pain, but now I'm the only, 32-year-old I know with no debt,
No house payment, no debt, payment, new house. Yeah.
So that part worked out, and got my camera equipment replaced, and it lit a fire in me. Just
literally reset you, I guess.
Yeah, that and then COVID is what really did it. And I mean, like you said, some people will resort to doing the 9 to 5 at Walmart, or McDonald's. I'll fight way too hard to do that. Like, I'll work way too hard to have to resort to that. There's nothing wrong with it, but I haven't spent all this time and effort learning how to do something that not many people can do, just to go do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's once you've had that freedom too, isn't it? It's hard to give up. It's hard to go back and work for somebody as a salary job. Not like sometimes someone might come in and say, hey, we're going to give you a 6-month job, and you're working on this, then it's video, great. You can do that. That's a great job. But like, to go like the salary route, and it's painful. Yeah,
I don't want to I don't want to fill a seat. I want to be there because I'm useful. So
for everyone listening, how can they see your work? How can they reach out if they want to hire you to do stuff? Where do they go?
YouTube.com/bshipmanfilms. I've got 30,000 subscribers, constantly putting new videos up. I've just this year in 2020, even before COVID, started, I hate this term, but vlogging.
Yeah.
I called it clogging because I just camera logging, but it didn't catch on, so we'll just go back to vlogging.
Yeah.
But so I film long trips, and it's not over edited, not over produced. It's pretty much what happens is on video with some cleaning up the fat.
Yeah.
And Instagram at Blake Shipman, I post completely different stuff on there. It can be all sports related, car, humor, everything. I filmed yesterday with my dogs, so just in slow-mo they were jumping at my face, so that's kind of funny. But I was just testing out one of my new cameras. But yeah, just Google and it'll send you somewhere.
Yeah, awesome. I guess last question would be, if someone were to hire you to do a job, next year, what would the dream job, what would it be? Where would you like to go? Who would you like to work for?
Dang. That's pretty cool.
Even if it wasn't paid, where would you go?
Yeah. Oh man, dream job would be getting paid for filming. The coolest thing I think I could think of right now would be if some company that made, a bunch of parts for the machines that we have, they were like, look, we have all this, all these parts. We know you've got these machines. Between me and my brother and my dad and our friends, we've got, a dozen UTVs, all different colors, all different models. And I just want to have that one company hit me up like, look, we're going to send you all these parts. You go film. Every time you film it, we better see this. If we want to see this, we'll pay you this. Have fun.
Yeah.
And that would be legit. And I feel like that's a possibility, because I don't feel like I ever have to have my hand held, when someone's like, I want it to look like this. I feel like they're coming to me because they already know I can make it look like that.
Yeah. Come up with the ideas, go freedom. Here's the equipment, go do what you do.
From the shots to the editing to the voiceover to having my own. I've got a collective 60,000 subscribers and followers that I can put my own stuff out to. So it's not like I can't get the word out. It's just a matter of finding that one company, or I've got a few that let me do a little little things here and there. No one's going to just send over a truck full of parts for nothing.
Not yet.
But in small steps, I'm getting there.
Awesome. Well, mate, thanks for coming on the podcast. Excited to share the story. And then for everyone listening, I'll post all the links down to what Blake mentioned below, his YouTube and social media as well, and you can go check him out. But thanks for listening. We'll catch you next episode. Cheers. This podcast was presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, who've been telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof. Catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.